The materials. Okay, so the yarn is from Knit Picks We Crochet. It is comfy worsted weight. It's a size 4 weight yarn. I have 6 different colors that I'm playing with for this project. The crochet hook that I'm using is an I9 or 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You'll also need a yarn needle, scissors, and a measuring tape to help you stay on track because this blanket has very specific dimensions. Go ahead and grab all of your materials and let's go. All right, first things first, you have all of these colors. What you're gonna wanna do is play with arrangement. See which colors will look best in which order. Really just shake things up, have fun putting this color next to that color, seeing if you want this color first, that color first. Picture how you want your blanket to be laid out. It's easiest to do this now and make a plan before you jump right into the blanket project, opposed to jumping into the blanket project and then deciding, I really wish that I would have put this color next to that color. So this is a smart idea. Definitely do this before you get started. All right, let's begin. Go ahead and make your slip knot, attach your crochet hook. Now we want to chain 146 chains. So let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 144, 145, 146. Great. Okay, for row 1, we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from our crochet hook. The skipped 3 chains do count as our first double crochet. So technically, we now have 2 double crochet stitches. Make 1 double crochet stitch in the next 3 chains. Two, 3. Great. Skip 2 chains. 1, 2, and double crochet in the next 5 chains. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 2, 1, 2, and double crochet in the next 5 chains. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. So what we have accomplished so far is we've made our valley and we've made our peak. What we're going to do next is skip 2 chains and make 1 double crochet in the next 5 chains. This is our valley. Have you noticed that working up the foundation row always seems to take forever? Great. Now we have our peak. So chain 2 and double crochet in the next 5 chains. And that's the repeat pattern across row 1. You're going to double crochet next 5 chains, then skip 2 chains for our bottom or our valley. Double crochet in the following 5 chains, and then chain 2 for our peak or top. Repeat this all the way across for row 1. And this is kind of what you should start to see as you go along. You're going to see your valleys or the bottom points, and you're going to see the peaks or the top points. Great, keep going. At the end of row 1, you're going to have a valley. So skip those 2 chains, double crochet in the next 3 chains, and in the 4th chain or the last chain, you're going to make 2 double crochet stitches. Similar to what we did in the very beginning of the row 1, where we had that increase with the chain 3 as 1 double crochet and then double crocheting into the first stitch. For row 2, we're going to start by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. Now this chain 3 does count as our first double crochet stitch. Turn our work, double crochet in the first stitch, and double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Great, we're at the valley. What you're going to see is 5 stitches in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Next, we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and double crochet in the next 4 stitches. Four. At that chain 2, we're going to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And that will give us our 5th stitch in that one grouping. And it'll start with our first stitch in the next grouping. Great. Double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at our valley, so skip 2 stitches, double crochet in the next 4 stitches. This really helps to keep the points pointy. More of a chevron, less of a wave. And in the peak, or that chain 2 space, you're going to double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And that's the repeat pattern for row 2. Just keep repeating. Next, you're going to double crochet in the following 4 stitches. In the valley, skip 2 stitches. Next side, double crochet in the following 4 stitches. And in the peak, or in that chain 2 space, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. Remember, you're going to keep 5 stitches in each group. It'll help you to keep on track. At the very end of row 2, we're going to make 2 double crochet stitches in that top chain, or the turning chain from the row below. This will also help us to keep 5 stitches in that last grouping. Please watch and count for 5 stitches. It is super easy. I found myself falling into this often, that you will just have 4 stitches and move on and only have 4 stitches in that group, and that will affect the following row. It'll mess you up a little bit. Moving on, you're always going to start by chaining 3, and it is always going to count as your first double crochet stitch for this pattern. You're going to double crochet in that first stitch, and then double crochet in the next 3 stitches and continue the pattern like you're used to crocheting the pattern. You are going to repeat row 2 through the end of row 14, and then we're going to do a color change. Let me show you what those color changes will look like. For your color changes, starting with color A, you're going to work rows 1 through 14. Switch to color B, you will work row 15 through row 28. Switch to color C, you will work rows 29 through 41. Switch to color D, you will work rows 42 through 55. Switch to color E, rows 56 through 69. And lastly, your last color, color F, work rows 70 through 75. Now this is just what I got with my yarn. Every yarn is going to be a little bit different. This is an approximation on how much yarn you're going to get with each skein, even in the same brand. But what I want you to focus on is just work until you run out of yarn, or until you can't get another row from that color, and then switch colors. So your rows might change from my rows, but make sure you keep track of your measurements. Super important. I wanted to show you a color change further on into the blanket project so you can get more out of it. You want to work the same color and end a row. You will know when you need to switch colors when you look at what's left of your color and you cannot make another row. That is when it's time to color change. You're going to grab your scissors, cut a long enough tail for you to weave in your ends, and then yarn over and pull that yarn through your loop on your crochet hook for a tie off. Now flip the blanket as if you were about to start crocheting the next row just to set yourself up. Grab your next color. And I like to center pull, so what you're gonna see here is me looking for that center yarn. Create your slip knot, attach it to your crochet hook. Now to attach this new yarn color to our project, we're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch. And that's just to attach the yarn. Then chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and that would have been our turning chain. It is our first double crochet stitch, and you continue the pattern how you've been working row 2 this entire project. Now, like I said, just keep working your colors until you run out of yarn. I do have a list of where I made my color changes, and that was just with the yarn that I had. You may differ, especially if you want to work less colors or if you just want to work with one solid color. You're just going to end at row 75, or have your measuring tape handy and consistently measure out your blanket to make sure that you meet blanket dimensions. It's very important whenever you're making a blanket for charity that you meet their dimensions because they have those set for a reason. Once you've reached the very end of your blanket, for me that was row 75, and I didn't even finish one full skein before I had to stop. And the reason I had to stop is because I pulled out my tape measure and I had hit dimension and I needed to stop at that point. So my last color is definitely shorter than my other colors, but that's okay. It's hitting dimension and that's all that matters. And that was 50 inches tall or long. Let's go ahead and measure out the width and the length just so that way you can see what we're aiming for, what we're trying to achieve. We're going for 40 inches wide and I just hit that. Woohoo! And we're going for 50 inches long. So I moved the blanket a different direction. I'm flattening it out so that way there's no wrinkles and I can get an accurate dimension. And I hit 50 right on the nose. So awesome. I have hit dimension. Now we're ready to close off this blanket. Cut a tail long enough for you to weave in your ends. Yarn over, pull that tail through your loop to tie off your row, tie off your blanket, grab your yarn needle. And last thing you have to do is weave in all of those ends and then you're done. Especially with chevrons, you don't need to add a border. There's no finishing touches, so you don't have to worry about doing anything else for your blanket to be polished and finished. I hope you like it, and I hope you have fun making this blanket.